Okay, this is a video explaining the rule set of what I call Skyrim Hardcore Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition. It's a mixture of Skyrim and D&D. For example, I roll a 10-sided dice to determine the race, because there's 10 races in Skyrim, and I roll out of 1 through 7 to determine my class. The classes are Barbarian, Cleric, Fighter, Paladin, Ranger, Wizard, and Rogue. The classes in this are following the Dungeons & Dragons rule set. For example, the Barbarian, they avoid magic at all costs. They're not allowed to use any magical items. They're not allowed to cast spells. He can only put skills in archery, block, light armor, one-handed, two-handed, and sneak. The Cleric can use all armor, one-handed, blunt, and shield. Isn't allowed to use archery at all. So that's the idea behind it. I'll post another video on each class specific rules if anybody wants to try to play this way. So to go over the mods we're using alternative start. You can see here that you can choose your kit after you pick your class that you've rolled, which I always choose none. So we start completely with no items whatsoever. We are using the Frostfall mod, and the thing about the Frostfall mod is you have to go into the overview and you actually have to enable it when you start every character, which there's a lot of characters to start on this, because if you die in this version of Skyrim, the character's dead and has to be restarted. Another important mod, we're using INeed, and we are going to turn on death from not eating or drinking, or I'm not sure if you can actually die from sleeping or not. We're also using Skydie, which is probably the most important one. It disables health regeneration. So the only way to heal is, D&D style, where you have to rest or use a potion or be healed by somebody. Slow or heavy armors, I turn that off because it makes you walk way too slow, like unrealistically slow. Stamina depletion, the lower your stamina is, the less damage you do. Same thing with magicka for spells. Fast travel is disabled. You move faster with light armor. The vendors charge higher prices for items, which makes money harder to, money not harder to come by, I guess, but makes items harder to come by. More global damage. This is a pretty hard way to play, so I usually turn this off. And what that does is it makes monsters hit you extremely hard, almost too hard. You can hit them just as hard, but it's so unforgiving to be hit by them. You're starting over your character almost on the first encounter every single time you play. We also use wet and cold and the equipment overhaul. Realistic unequip is part of that, and what it does is it throws your weapons onto the ground when you unequip a weapon. Like if you were in a fight with something and you had your bow out and a troll ran up on you, you wouldn't actually put it on your back, you would just toss it on the ground and pull your sword out. That's what this does, which is you'll leave your bow behind if you don't go pick it up again. So I'm turning it off for now, but I'll turn it on later when I can get used to it. I usually leave my weapons and forget they're even there. So that's it. That's it for this version of Skyrim Hardcore, and so I'll be doing a series of playthroughs on different characters to see how far I can get and see if I can actually complete the game. I highly doubt that will be possible.